Have you ever felt drained after spending time with certain relatives, even though you love them deeply? As we grow older, our time and energy become more precious, and we deserve to spend them in ways that nurture our well-being. But not all family relationships are the same. Some can leave us feeling unappreciated, emotionally exhausted, or stuck in negative patterns. In this video, we'll reveal the 5 types of relatives you should avoid visiting as you age, and why it's essential to set boundaries to protect your peace. This isn't about abandoning family. It's about reclaiming your emotional energy, focusing on relationships that uplift you, and living your golden years with joy and fulfillment. By the end of this video, you'll understand why you don't have to tolerate negativity, judgment, or dependency from your family anymore. You'll discover how to preserve your emotional well-being, set boundaries without guilt, and enjoy your later years in ways that truly serve you. If you're ready to take charge of your happiness and protect your peace, this video will give you the tools and wisdom to do just that. Stay tuned to the end, where we'll also share practical tips on how to manage these relationships with grace, so you can create a life filled with serenity, positivity, and deep, meaningful connections. So, are you ready to stop letting toxic family dynamics control your life? Let's dive in. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. The judgmental relative. As we age, we carry with us not just the years, but the wisdom and experience that come from navigating life's many challenges. Yet, with these years also come to the emotional scars left by past judgments, and perhaps none sting as sharply as the ones inflicted by those closest to us, family. These are the very people we may have spent a lifetime caring for, sacrificing for, and loving with all our hearts. When their harsh words cut through the air, it can feel like a betrayal of everything you've given, like the very foundation of your relationship is being shaken. And it hurts deeply, more than most things, because we expect kindness, understanding, and support from those who should know us best. But it's so important to remember that these judgments say more about them than they do about you. Often, a judgmental relative is not seeing you for who you truly are. Instead, they are projecting their insecurities, fears, or desires onto you. Maybe they feel threatened by your independence, perhaps because they can't quite reconcile how you have found peace and contentment while they are still struggling with their unfulfilled dreams. It's a painful truth, but sometimes a relative's harsh words stem from their regrets, fears, and failures, a reminder of everything they wish they had accomplished or a reflection of what they can't come to terms with in their own life. At this stage in your life, you've earned something invaluable: peace. You've earned the right to be at peace with your decisions, with the way your life has unfolded, with the relationships you've nurtured, and most of all, with yourself. You deserve to embrace your memories, savor your remaining years, and live them in a way that fills you with joy, not guilt or doubt. When you constantly subject yourself to judgment, it chips away at that peace, eroding it piece by piece. It makes you question decisions that you know deep down were right, or worse, it fills you with unnecessary tension and dread. That's a heavy price to pay for a momentary opinion, one that doesn't define who you truly are. So, at this time of your life, it's so important to ask yourself, what do I want? What am I seeking from these years that I have left? I think most of us long for fulfillment, a deep sense of satisfaction that comes from living authentically, surrounded by love, joy, and laughter. We deserve to embrace freedom and live the way that makes our hearts feel light and content. And if that means stepping away from a relative whose words make you feel less than worthy, then you have every right to do so. It's not about closing doors out of bitterness or resentment. It's about protecting your emotional and mental well-being. You've been through enough already to know that you don't need to allow anyone, even family, to make you feel small or inadequate. When you find yourself in the company of a judgmental relative, You don't have to engage in their criticisms. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices or the life you've chosen to live. You can simply listen, smile politely, and gracefully change the subject to something neutral. Something that will take the conversation away from the pain they're trying to inflict, like reminiscing about cherished family memories or talking about the weather. It's not about ignoring them. It's about choosing not to let their words eat away at your peace. And if the criticism continues to hurt, it's perfectly okay to excuse yourself. Politely leave, knowing that you are acting in your best interest. You don't need to stay in a space where you are made to feel lesser, unworthy, or judged. Instead, surround yourself with people who lift you, people who see the beauty in your journey, and people who speak with kindness and encouragement. Let those people be the ones you cherish, the ones who remind you of your worth, and the ones who make your golden years feel truly golden. Because at the end of the day, you have the right to be surrounded by love, not judgment, in this stage of life. It's your time to live, to be happy, and to be at peace. 2. The constantly negative relative. As we grow older, one of the most precious things we come to cherish is emotional well-being. The realization dawns on us that each day, each moment is a gift. As time passes, we become more mindful of how we spend our days, and filling them with peace, love, and gratitude becomes a deeply fulfilling pursuit. However, not all relationships contribute to this harmonious existence. Some can creates discord, especially when it comes to a relative who seems to live in a constant state of negativity. Imagine walking through life with the heavy weight of pessimism and despair clouding every conversation. This relative's outlook on life feels perpetually dark, like a storm that never clears. Their words, dripping with complaints, criticisms, and woes, are enough to drain the energy from any room. For someone who has spent their life seeking calm, reflection, and a deeper connection to inner peace, being around a person whose every thought is drenched in negativity can feel like an overwhelming burden, one that sometimes feels unbearable. A constantly negative relative is not just someone who occasionally shares their bad days or vents about a personal struggle. No, this is someone who seems to view the world through a lens of perpetual dissatisfaction. They can find fault in anything, from the state of the world to the behavior of others, and even in moments that should be filled with joy and connection. Conversations with them are often filled with complaints about the state of politics, criticism of family members, or despair over things completely beyond their control. And in all of this, there is no space for meaningful, uplifting exchanges, no room for genuine connection or understanding. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Being around such a person is like stepping into a storm cloud that follows you everywhere. Their negative energy becomes a suffocating presence that seeps into your thoughts and emotions. Even if their grievances are about things unrelated to you, you can't help but feel a heaviness settle in your chest after spending time with them. It's a feeling of deflation, like your own optimism and lightness of spirit are being chipped away. And over time, this emotional toll can become profound, leaving you questioning whether maintaining the relationship is truly worth the strain. Yet, here's the complexity of it all. They are family. The bonds of blood and shared history often make it difficult to simply walk away. You might feel that you have an obligation to endure their negativity because, after all, they are a part of your life. But what I've come to understand is this. It's okay to acknowledge that their constant negativity doesn't have to be your burden. You don't have to let their darkness define your light. You don't have to allow their discontent to seep into your soul and erode your happiness. It's essential to remember that their negativity is often a reflection of their internal struggles, unresolved pain, and unmet expectations. It's their battle, not yours. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can foster a sense of compassion. They might be trapped in their sorrow, unable to see beyond their pain. But while I may feel empathy for their internal battles, I have learned that I do not need to take on their struggles as my own. Trying to fix or change them is a futile endeavor. The truth is, you cannot control their mindset or heal their unhappiness. And trying to do so only drains your energy, leaving you feeling empty and worn. Instead, what I have found to be most healing is protecting my peace. By creating boundaries and maintaining a sense of emotional distance, I can still interact with them in a way that is kind but not soul-sucking. Their negativity does not reflect who I am or what I value. It's simply a manifestation of their unhealed wounds. Reframing these interactions is key. When they begin to spiral into yet another complaint or criticism, I remind myself that I don't have to internalize their outlook. I don't have to carry the weight of their anger or sorrow. I can gently redirect the conversation, shifting the focus to something more neutral, or even better, something positive. I can say, "I hear you, but let's talk about something that makes us both smile." By doing this, I preserve my emotional well-being and show them that it's possible to engage with life in a more hopeful way. If their negativity continues to dominate, it's okay to limit the time you spend with them. You have every right to protect your own mental space. You don't have to feel guilty about stepping away or setting limits on how much of your time and energy you're willing to give. Politely but firmly, explain that you value uplifting conversations and that, for your well-being, you need to focus on positive topics. You can still love them from a distance, but you don't have to let their negativity consume you. And most importantly, take care of yourself. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who inspire you, who bring light into your life. Whether it's a walk in nature, a conversation with a close friend, or engaging in a creative hobby that sparks joy in your heart, prioritize those things that replenish your soul. The emotional toll of negativity can be draining, but the antidote lies in self-care and connection to the things that bring you peace. Forgiveness, too, plays an important role in all of this. Forgiving them doesn't mean excusing their behavior or giving them a free pass. It means releasing the hold that their negativity has over your own heart. It means letting go of any resentment or frustration that might have taken root within you. Forgiveness is for you, not them. It's a way of freeing yourself from the emotional burden that their negativity imposes. Remember, your happiness is your responsibility. You cannot change a constantly negative relative, but you can choose how much of your time, energy, and heart you devote to them. By protecting your peace and nurturing relationships that nourish you, you ensure that your golden years are filled with love, joy, and fulfillment. You deserve to live your life in a way that brings you joy, and no one, not even a family member, should take that from you. 3. The self-centered relative. In the intricate web of family, some bonds nurture and sustain us, weaving a beautiful tapestry of love, respect, and care. Then there are those relationships that leave us feeling invisible, unnoticed, and underappreciated. The self-centered relative falls into this latter category. Someone whose world revolves so completely around their own experiences, triumphs, or struggles that they forget to look outward, to recognize and honor the experiences of others. For older adults, especially those who have spent decades giving their time, energy, and love to others, a relationship with a self-centered relative can be incredibly painful. It feels like the rug has been pulled out from beneath you. You've given so much, often at the expense of your own needs, in hopes that those bonds would be reciprocal, and that love would flow freely both ways. But the truth is that a relationship with someone so absorbed in themselves can feel empty, hollow, and soul-crushing. It's as if the very essence of connection, that deep exchange of care and understanding, has been lost in a sea of one-sidedness. The self-centered relative often doesn't even realize the toll their behavior takes on you. They monopolize every conversation, spinning it into a monologue about their latest accomplishment, grievance, or trivial concern. There's rarely any room for you, for your thoughts, or your feelings. It's exhausting to constantly be in the presence of someone who has no interest in you beyond what you can offer them, whether it's your attention, your empathy, or simply your silent agreement. When they do ask about your life, it feels hollow, like a perfunctory formality, a mere pause before they dive back into their narrative, leaving your needs hanging in the air, unspoken and unresolved. Over time, these interactions chip away at your sense of worth. You begin to feel like a mere spectator in your own life, always playing the role of the audience to their drama. For someone who's spent years fostering relationships and nurturing others, this dynamic can feel like a profound betrayal. Time, after all, is precious, especially as the years pass and the fleeting moments become more valuable than ever. To share your life with someone who doesn't truly see you, who doesn't care about your stories or your perspective, feels like a devastating loss. It's as if the opportunity for a real, authentic connection has slipped through your fingers, leaving only the hollow echo of empty words. Understanding the root of this self-centeredness can help provide some clarity. Often, such behavior is born out of insecurity, a desperate need for validation, or an unfulfilled emotional void. Perhaps they feel unimportant in the grand scheme of things, and so they grasp control by keeping the focus firmly on themselves. Their lack of attention to others is, in many ways, a defense mechanism, a desperate attempt to feel seen, to feel heard in a world that might have left them feeling ignored. And while it's entirely possible to have compassion for their inner struggles, it's equally important to remember that your needs, your emotional well-being, should not take a back seat to their constant self-absorption. It's vital to remember that after decades of giving, supporting others, and offering love, you now have the right to protect your own heart. The relationships that surround you in your later years should be nourishing and uplifting. They should serve as a mutual exchange of care, where both parties give and receive. Don't let the selfishness of one person drain you. You've earned the right to ask for more, to be surrounded by those who value you, who listen, who see you for who you are, and not just for the audience you provide them. Navigating this relationship, though, requires a delicate balance. You have to draw boundaries, not in a cold or unforgiving way, but in a way that honors your own emotions and well-being. Acknowledge how their behavior makes you feel. Don't brush your emotions aside in the name of family loyalty or the fear of confrontation. You may never change their behavior, and it's important to accept that. You can't force someone to listen, to care, or to meet you halfway if they're not willing to. But what you can do is control your response, your involvement, and your energy. When you engage with a self-centered relative, take the opportunity to set the tone of the conversation. Speak with confidence. Share your stories, your triumphs, your feelings, even if they seem uninterested or distracted. Their lack of response doesn't diminish the value of what you have to offer. If they interrupt or dismiss your thoughts to bring them back to themselves, you have the power to decide how much energy you're willing to invest in that moment. Sometimes, it might be less draining to simply listen and nod, but other times, it's completely acceptable to assert your needs. Gently, but firmly, let them know you, too, deserve to be heard. You might say something like, "I'd love to share what's been going on in my life if you're interested." It's okay to limit your time with a self-centered relative. Protect your emotional space and make room for the relationships that bring you joy, peace, and mutual respect. Seek out the connections that truly nourish your spirit, those where both sides are engaged in a meaningful exchange of love, understanding, and care. These are the relationships that will fill your later years with warmth, depth, and joy. Forgiveness can be a powerful tool in this process, but not in the way you might think. Forgiveness isn't about excusing or forgetting their behavior. Rather, it's about releasing the anger, frustration, or resentment that their selfishness might stir within you. It's about letting go of the emotional weight of unmet expectations. By doing so, you free yourself from the burden of disappointment, allowing you to approach the relationship with a clearer heart, unburdened by past hurts. In the end, remember that your time is invaluable. You don't have to allow a self-centered relative to dominate your emotional world. While they may always be part of your family, you can choose to invest in relationships that fill you up, that offer the emotional connection and respect you deserve. Life is too short to settle for anything less. Surround yourself with people who cherish your presence, who listen, who truly see you, and who help you grow in the process. That is the gift of meaningful connection, the kind that makes life truly worth living. 4. The drama maker. As life progresses, peace becomes more than just a fleeting luxury. It's a precious treasure, one that becomes increasingly invaluable with each passing year. When we're young, we may not fully understand its significance, caught in the whirlwind of ambition, competition, and the noise of constant striving. But as we grow older, we come to recognize just how much peace enriches our lives. It's in those moments of quiet reflection, in the soft connection of meaningful relationships, and in the slow, deliberate pace of the days that we truly find the beauty of living. Yet, some individuals simply cannot fathom this peace. They seem to live for chaos, for conflict, for stirring up trouble wherever they go. These people, the drama makers, are like storms in an otherwise calm sky. They disrupt the tranquility you've spent your life working to nurture, and it's both maddening and heartbreaking. For older adults, these individuals are not just exhausting to be around, they are downright harmful. Their actions don't merely irritate, they erode the very harmony that should define these years of your life. They disrupt the relationships you've spent decades building, making you question whether peace was ever within your grasp. Drama makers thrive on the chaos they create, their tools of choice being gossip, exaggeration, and manipulation. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. It's as though they thrive on the discomfort of others. They tear down trust between family members, rehashing old arguments and reviving wounds that should have long since healed. They draw others into their tangled mess of conflict, sometimes without any valid reason, leaving you feeling helpless, wondering how things ever became so toxic. The drama makers might paint themselves as the perpetual victim, always needing attention and sympathy, or they may be the instigators, sparking fights and then stepping back to watch the fallout with sick satisfaction. Either way, their behavior, though often childish in its foundation, can have a deeply destructive effect on your well-being. What is especially painful is that these behaviors are not just annoyances, they are time thieves. For seniors, time is no longer a limitless resource. Every moment spent in conflict is a moment lost from the deeper, more meaningful connections that truly matter. The drama maker, in their endless pursuit of turmoil, makes you feel as though your time is not your own, that your remaining years should somehow be stained by their need for chaos. The consequences of their behavior are far from superficial. They impact not only your emotional state but your physical health too. Stress from these interactions can seep into your body, raising your blood pressure, disturbing your sleep, and even triggering flare-ups of chronic conditions. But here's where we need to pause and take a hard look at reality. Yes, the drama maker's behavior is frustrating, hurtful, and draining. But we are not powerless against it. While we cannot control their actions, we absolutely can control how we respond. The first step is recognizing their behavior for what it is. Nothing more than a pattern, a destructive cycle designed to pull you into their emotional chaos. Once you see it for what it is, you can begin to protect your peace by refusing to engage. Don't fall into their trap. Don't let them manipulate your emotions or draw you into their fight. Sometimes, the most empowering thing you can do is to refuse to react at all. Setting boundaries is not just important, it's essential. It's a form of self-care that prioritizes your mental and emotional health. This might mean limiting the time you spend with them, even politely declining invitations when you know their presence will overshadow any possibility of peace. It might mean keeping conversations neutral, steering them away from hot-button topics, and gently, but firmly, asserting your needs when necessary. You might have to say things like, "I don't feel comfortable discussing this," or "I prefer not to be involved in this matter." These boundaries may not be met with understanding, and that's okay. They are vital for preserving your serenity. One of the hardest aspects of dealing with drama makers is how they can often pull in the people you love, causing rifts that never should have happened. In the end, it's crucial to protect yourself and the relationships that matter. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, those who bring positivity, understanding, and joy into your life. These are the people who deserve your energy, the ones who fill your days with light rather than draining it. Forgiveness also plays a role in this process. But let me be clear, Forgiveness does not mean excusing the drama maker's behavior, nor does it mean allowing them back into your life to continue causing harm. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the emotional shackles of anger and resentment. It's about releasing the weight of their toxic actions, so you can move forward without carrying the burden of their chaos. The later years of life should be a time to focus on what truly matters: your health, your happiness, and the people who bring love and understanding into your life. It's about cherishing the moments that matter and nurturing the relationships that enrich you. Yes, the drama maker will continue to spin their web of conflict, but you don't have to get caught in it. You are under no obligation to participate in their turmoil. Choosing peace over conflict, and surrounding yourself with those who genuinely respect and care for you, these are the choices that will shape your golden years. You've earned the right to enjoy this time of your life, free from the drama and the pain that others may try to inflict. By focusing on your well-being and your happiness, you make sure that your later years are filled with light, warmth, and the calm that comes with knowing you've survived the storms and now deserve the quiet joy that only peace can bring. 5. The overly dependent relative. Family is often portrayed as a safety net, a sacred circle where love and care flow endlessly. It's a place where you're not just accepted but truly seen, where each person's struggles are shared and supported with open hearts. In theory, this is a beautiful dynamic, a lifeline of warmth and unity. But what happens when that flow becomes unbalanced? When one person's needs overshadow the rest of the family, and their dependence takes on a life of its own. Suddenly, the sense of support shifts, and what was once a place of comfort becomes a space filled with tension, frustration, and exhaustion. An overly dependent relative doesn't just add weight to the already heavy load. They can transform that once solid circle into an unbreakable chain, binding you with responsibilities that seem endless. For seniors, this dynamic can be particularly overwhelming, especially after a lifetime of giving, caring, and putting others' needs first. After all those years of selflessness, you arrive at a stage in life where you've earned the right to rest, to reflect, and to nurture your happiness. Yet, there you are, carrying the burden of someone else's demands, emotional, financial, and physical. At a time when you should be cherishing peace, solitude, and the joy of living for yourself. Dependence in itself is not a negative thing. It's a natural part of family life to rely on one another during moments of struggle, and there's a certain beauty in that mutual trust. However, there's a very fine line between relying on loved ones in times of need and falling into chronic dependency. It's easy to let that line blur without realizing the impact, and when it does, it can drain you. Physically, emotionally, and even financially. As someone who has spent decades caring for others, there comes a point when you simply cannot give anymore without sacrificing your well-being. It becomes exhausting to constantly feel needed, to be the one everyone turns to. The overly dependent relative doesn't see this, though. They might come to you, again and again, asking for emotional support without a second thought to how much more they're piling onto your plate. They may lean on you for financial help, without considering how tight your budget is. Worse yet, they might demand so much of your time and energy that you begin to feel like a shell of the person you once were. You can't help but wonder, when do your needs finally matter? When do you get a moment to simply breathe, to rest, to care for yourself? There's a subtle, yet crushing, imbalance that defines this relationship. You've always been the one they turn to, the steady hand, the wise voice, the reliable caregiver. At one point, that role may have felt fulfilling, even meaningful. But now, it feels more like an anchor, weighing you down with obligations that seem to grow heavier by the day. The expectations placed upon you are so overwhelming that you start to lose sight of who you are, of what you want, of the life you've earned the right to live. You long for a moment of respite, for just a small slice of time where you don't have to be the caregiver, the listener, the problem solver. You want to live for yourself, to be free from the weight of responsibility for just a while. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. But this is where the struggle intensifies, because the overly dependent relative often doesn't understand this desire for space, this yearning for freedom. Their world revolves around their own needs, and in their eyes, you are the constant, the one who will always be there. They might even use guilt to keep you bound to them, reminding you of all the times you've helped in the past or framing their dependency as a measure of how much they trust you. This emotional manipulation is subtle but powerful, and it can leave you feeling like you're betraying them if you dare to put yourself first. This situation is especially painful for those of us who hold family close to our hearts. You may feel torn between your desire to help and your increasing need to care for yourself. There's a battle within. Will they feel abandoned if I set boundaries? Will they lash out in anger, hurt, or guilt? Will the family judge me for not doing enough? These worries are real and valid. However, it's essential to recognize that setting boundaries is not an act of cruelty. It's a profound act of self-preservation. It's not about rejecting the person you love. It's about honoring yourself, your limits, and your right to live fully in the later years of your life. Setting boundaries is, in fact, an act of love. Love for yourself, and in turn, love for the one you're trying to protect from the unsustainable cycle of dependence. By taking a step back, you give your relative the gift of growth, the space to find their solutions, and the opportunity to build resilience. Establishing these boundaries starts with an honest, compassionate conversation. It's about being clear about your limits while maintaining a tone of empathy. You might say, for example, I wish I could continue helping, but my finances are tight right now, and I need to ensure my stability. If their emotional needs are overwhelming, try suggesting, I care deeply about you, but I think a counselor could offer you the professional support that I simply can't provide. These conversations are not easy, but they are necessary. It's in these uncomfortable moments that you create the foundation for a healthier, more balanced relationship. Just as important as setting boundaries is honoring your own needs. What brings you joy and peace in this stage of life? Is it a hobby you've long neglected? Is it traveling, spending time with friends, or simply enjoying the solitude of a quiet afternoon? Whatever it may be, allow yourself to embrace those moments fully. Encourage your relative to seek additional support, whether through other family members, friends, or professional resources. This way, you aren't abandoning them, but you are giving them the space they need to thrive independently. Ultimately, your role in their life is not to serve as a constant crutch, but to be a source of support that complements, not replaces, their ability to face challenges. And perhaps most importantly, permit yourself to feel no guilt in taking care of yourself. Caring for yourself doesn't mean you love your family any less. It means you recognize that your well-being is just as important as theirs. You deserve a life filled with joy, peace, and fulfillment, just as much as anyone else. By setting these boundaries, you free up your energy to focus on the relationships and activities that truly nourish your soul. The overly dependent relative may not change overnight, and they may never fully understand. But by making space for yourself and redirecting your energy into your growth, you can reclaim your time, your peace, and your happiness. It's time to step into your golden years with the confidence that you are worthy of this time to heal, reflect, and live life on your terms. As we reflect on the impact of an overly dependent relative, we've learned how crucial it is to establish healthy boundaries to protect our well-being while still supporting those we love. Balancing self-care and family responsibilities isn't always easy, but it's essential to ensure we're living our later years with peace, joy, and fulfillment. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned today that you'll take with you and start practicing in your own life? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I'm eager to hear how you're making these changes. If you like this video, please leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. Let's continue this conversation and grow together.